Okay, I've swapped out that original piece there. I've, let me just tell you, these were ripped on the table saw and they're not super accurate, but they're reasonable. Actually, I took a skill saw and cut off one end. I think one of them I just flipped on my miter saw, so they're not perfect cuts, but they're relatively square, and they're about 3/16 too long, around .190. Extra, somewhere around 1/8 to 190 extra around this that I'm going to mill the profile off before I'm done here anyway. But because my XY0 was set yesterday to the holes that I'm going to be screwing into this table, when I machine this spool board and put these threaded inserts in here, this is a square line here along this. All of this was square and pretty precisely at 4 inch. Most of these are 4 inches apart and stuff like that. So I was just showing you can use any way to easily square up something off of those by using blocks that you could, find something the right width, whatever, to duplicate what you had. I've just done things like that, or take some real accurate measurement, not super accurate on this kind of stuff, but take a precise measurement, say against there, to know that you square from one end to the other, just stuff like that, And then I took the dimensions of this and I wrote them down over here. Divide that by 2 because I'm centered on this, which is not always the best, and I'm not a real big fan of being in the center. But that's how I'm set up, is the center of my work is right there. So once I've got those numbers, so I'm 17.4 wide, 12.4. Half of that is 6.2, so that puts me in the center here. So that's, negative 6.2 here, plus 6.2 here in the program, and so on and so on. So I have those numbers. I just zeroed, like I showed you, from yesterday, because I know that I'm going to hit my threaded holes is how I'm going to hold this down. So I just aligned my new board up, and I put a little X in the cross in the middle that is pretty close to center, and I just aligned the board to where this is the 1/8 upcut that I'm going to be making those holes with. And so I'm really closely lined up with that, and I've already verified by moving this with the DRO, looking at it to those numbers I just told you, and at every point of this I'm really close to being right over the edge of that part, telling me that I am certainly lined up I'm zeroed. And like I said, I'm going to take about, I don't know exactly, but I'm taking at least 1/8 of an inch off of each. I'm going to be milling 1/8 of an inch all the way around it at least. So anyway, these types of blocks, sometimes, like I said, I'll use 1, 2, 3 blocks. Those are really precise. This set I've got from Fireball Tool is really precise blocks. He's got them in 1 inch, 3/8, all different ones, and they're actually magnetized, so you can use them for setting up on the mill or on welding jobs, or any which way you want. There's some 2 inch. So you've got a pretty good selection of different ways that you can line up square with your machine if you want to duplicate it, be repeating something over and over. And I should, now that I plan on building quite a few of these for my shop, as you can see, I don't have hardly any storage around here. That's why there's so much junk everywhere, that I need to build a lot of cabinets around here. So this is just the first example that I drew up to try to build. So what I probably need to do is, because I know where this is going to be every time now, is I need to make sure I rip these the same every time if I can, or like I said earlier, just take measurements between here, and I know that if I'm there that I'm good. And or I could make a block that's exactly the right size to go in here and just bump up against it, and I know I'm square and I don't have to mess around. And do the same thing on this end. I could put something that puts that in the right place, because I'm not exactly centered between where my spoil board ends, so I put an extra one down here. This board was kind of warped up, so I just pulled that down flat, and all I'm going to do is drill holes, and once I get it bolted down, I'll move all the clamps out of here. So like I said, and also I went and I checked my Z everywhere. I know these 4 holes that are going to hold this down, they're 24 inches apart and 8 inches apart on this width. So I checked my Z with a piece of paper method that I've told you before is the most accurate, and I didn't even allow for this 4,000 because I'm going to drop this a little bit when I do this, because I have room under here. Where this goes into these holes, I have about a 1/16 or better here, plus we're going into the same size diameter. These are bigger. So I'm probably going to drop it at least 10 thousandths to be sure that I'm going through this thickness when I do this anyway. So, and after that, I think I'm going to put this, I've got a board to put under it. Where in the world did I put the thing? That's crazy, I've lost my, anyway, I've got a piece of, I think it's paneling or something that I made that can go under this to get it stuck up in the air, and I can not be cutting into my spoil board if I can keep running. There it is. So I drilled holes in this that can go under that if I want to put it under there and bolt it down through these same holes. After I get that done, I put it right back, and this will line exactly right where it is, because the holes are going to be exactly 1/4 inch to I think I've made them 10 thousandths over just to put that, bolt it down, and so everything will work fine there. Anyway, like I said, we were talking about maybe using this and setting this up that way. I kind of hate to. I like where my XY0 is the way I did it. Once I do this, I'm going to have to move it that distance, and it's not quite as accurate as I don't know if it is or not, and I don't want to take a chance on it, so I don't think I'm going to do that. But we can use this part of it to set the Z if we want right here, and verify it again if it's the same way as I did with paper. And I expect that paper's 4 thousandths thick. I don't have my digital calipers real close, or I would show you that, but I can tell you that I've checked this over and over, and it's 4 thousandths thick. So about 1/10 of a millimeter, if you want to talk in millimeters. 0.1 millimeters is about the thickness of a piece of paper. So let's I've already checked it. Like I said, in all 4 spots I'm within 5 thousandths everywhere. I'm not worried about that depth anyway exactly on this. This is not that critical. So let me zoom out a little here. So I know this is what I would do if you're going to do that, and so I've verified that I'm zeroed right there at plus 4 thousandths, you might say. So this is approximately, well, I'll bring it right back. It's hard to do this and hold a camera, and I'm sorry I'm doing this way to you, but I can't believe this video is this long. So let's go. You know how to do that. I know you can't see. Let me show you real close over there what we're doing. So I'm at 0, remember, right now. So I like to play around with the rapid over there. See this rapid? Gosh, that's not very... Okay, so I want to move that back here is to be where I'm going is minus 12 inches, so I can just double click that rapid right there. I don't think this is going to work because it's not really focusing. I just wanted to show you, any of you beginning with this that don't understand how to do this stuff, see if I can do this while I show it to you. See, I double clicked right there. This is the step we're going to move, and I'm going to put the distance of where I want this to be right there. So let's do that. 12.4 is the distance to that. I don't know why I'm saying 12. It's 12 inches because they're 24 inches apart. I'm going to have to zoom out because that's just crazy. 12 inches. So that's what I just typed into that step. So we're going to move back 12 inches in the Y. Here we go. I'm just going to verify with this touch plate if I'm at the same Z. That's what I was telling you, that if you're using these, verify that they're getting the same thing that you've used with a piece of paper, because the paper is accurate and it's not going to lie. That could need to have some settings changed if it's not accurate. I feel like it's going to be accurate, but we'll see. So now we're in the Y direction where we need to be. I just need to move over 4 inches. So I'm going to go back into that rapid setting. I'm just going to go 4 inches on that step. I know you can't see that. I'm just going to tell you what I'm doing. Coming over 4 inches, and this is the very spot where we're going to be putting the first hole that's going to hold this down, and that's where I set that already. I don't want to have to make you watch me do that again, but I just brought it down a little just until that paper was tight right there, and that's where I set it. So we can use this. I got to raise this up. In case you don't know how to do this, I'm going to come back up to the screen in just a minute. I'm sorry that this is so far away, but let me raise this. All you do is raise this up a little ways so you can get that in there. So right now I'm up 315 thousandths above it, and see how that lines up in that little spot there. That's to set your Z only, so you turn it upside down from the normal way, and that's 200 thousandths like I've discussed before. 5 millimeters is how high that is, so there's going to be an offset that the computer figures out to set your Z to the right number. I'm going to pull this out here where we can hopefully see that closer. Now to go into your probe settings, again, this ain't for you people that know how to do this. I had someone comment the other day about this, that they haven't used this. So right down here, and I know that's going to be hard to see, but you see right down there, right here where it says probe. Now once you click that, let me turn this screen. I'm sorry this is so terrible video. See where this says probe? Click that and it opens this. Now make sure you click just Z right there, because you can do the X, Y, and Z, or the X, Y. I normally only do X, Y, or X, Y. Well, you can do X, Y, Z if you're doing all of it. I'm not going to do that in this case because I don't. This is pretty precise where I've got it, and I don't want to mess with that, like I said. So we're set on the Z. Now, if you push probe, it's going to open another screen, and it wants you to touch that. So I'm going to go back over here. And I'm going to have to show you down here what I'm going to do. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to touch that metal against, I got to be grounded though, remember? So this is your ground, like that. Now, I'm not going to show you this because I'm going to show you the screen, but all I'm going to do is touch that against that end mill, and then watch what the screen does. See, it's telling you to ensure that when I do that, that's going to turn green, saying, okay, it's good to probe. And now I'm going to click the button on the screen, and watch, here's all it's going to do is set that Z. So now it did that, and it set my 0. And I don't think I like the number that it's showing, so I don't know how accurate that is. Something is wrong there. I wonder what. It's showing 0.940. Every other time I've done that, it showed 276. And as you can see, that's certainly not 940. Let me do that again. There's something funny there. In fact, just for proof of that, it thinks it's at 940, but I'll show you something. Let's go back to our blocks here. Let's grab a 3/16 and let's just grab a 3/8 block here. And let's see what that distance really is. It sure ain't 940. See, I can't get a 3/8 under that, so there's something funny about that. Right there, that just ain't right. Yesterday I used this and it worked fine. So it's somewhere around 300. Like I said, 276 is what it normally is. I'm going to set that again. So I'm going to push probe again. It's on Z, probe, and then let's see. Now let's check this again. There's something wrong there. If you want to watch that happen, I'm just going to push. Well, touch detected. Start probe. Yeah, it keeps coming up with 940, so there's something wrong in them settings there. Let's go back in my settings. Maybe it's not. See, this is what I mean. You need to be sure and verify before you use a probe. So, actually, don't go in the firmware. See over here where it's got settings, this little settings thing over here? We'll go into here, make sure we've got the correct one selected, and I did yesterday. So over here where it says probe on the left, I'm sure you can't see this very well anyway. Set this to, see that says standard block right there, that's wrong. So somehow it didn't save that since yesterday. So you go over here to auto 0 Touchplate, that's the one we're using. And in this case, if you were doing the XY, you would definitely want to have the right tool selected in our list. We have a 1/8. That's where you can add tools. So I don't really know how you operate that part, but anyway, I've got a little to learn on this too. I know you're supposed to select what tool you're using. I don't see that doing that. Now this, I'm using Edge here, so it may be a little bit funny here. But I know you can add tools, but if you select 0.125, that's probably what you need to do, but I think that's for adding a tool. So 0.125, add the tool, and it's in there, but anyway, I'm going to come out of the screen. I bet there's a way you're supposed to save this, but I don't know how you do that. But anyway, we're on auto 0. So now let's go back and do that probe again on the Z. And that's why it wasn't working right. So that's what I'm telling you. So we're still sitting in that same spot. Now I'm going to touch this so it knows that I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to start this probe. It's kind of dark in there, isn't it? Now, if you'll notice, like I said, it shows 276. Right here, that's just kind of where it picked up from 0. So apparently it picks up 76 thousandths. Now make sure you take all this off so you don't do nothing crazy here. And then what I wanted to do to verify that is, so it thinks it's at 276. I'm just going to be bumping this down. You don't have to watch the screen with me. So I'm coming down a 16th at a time here. It shows I'm at 88. Let's come another 16th. Now I'm at 26. So I'm going to go to precision and come down 5 thousandths at a time. Let me get my paper in here. Now remember, it thinks it's 0. That should literally show 4 thousandths when I get, that's 5. And it's not dragging. Now that's pretty good right there, and it shows 1 thou. So that's pretty snug. Let me come up a little. Here's 1 thousandth. Now it thinks it's at 2 thousandths above it. Let me come up 2 thousandths. I'm just typing 2 thousandths in here. Okay, the DRO up there showing 4 thousandths, and that ought to be, I'm gonna have to come up. Here, I hate for you to be bored watching that. I'm gonna come up a 1/16 so I can get the paper in, and then I'm gonna come back down a 1/16 and see if that's tight. It's showing 66 thousandths. I know you can't read that from here, but now it's back to 4 thousandths, and it's kind of lightly touching the paper. It's hard to do little bitty steps with this because honestly these stepper motors are not, I don't think the resolution, but that's really close. I'm going to say that's really about 5 thousandths off, and it's showing 4 thousandths. So yeah, I'm going to say that's pretty dang accurate. So in order to set this Z lower, because I would like to be sure we're boring these holes, maybe 10 thousandths lower than that, I'm going to set, in case I know that's hard to see that screen. I wonder I wish that was darker right there. But I'll just tell you, I'm going to change this precision down to, I'm going to move this over here, so I can come down 10 thousandths below, and I'm going to reset that. So let's move over. I'm going to raise that Z up so I don't crash and break it off somehow, but let me zoom out so you can see what I'm doing. I mean, this is definitely for very beginner type people. If you don't understand all this, then this hopefully will help you a little bit. So I'm just coming off of the work just enough to where I can do this, and then I'm going to come down. It says I'm 504 up, so you can also double click the number on the DRO and put any value you want, but this is a little safer if you don't know for sure what it thinks it's at 4 thousandths above it. I'm going to go back to precision or precise, and I'm going to come down 5 thou at a time. So now it thinks it's 7 thousandths below it. I'm going to zero it right there. Okay, now that became my 0, and I'm actually 7 thousandths below it. Okay, so now I'm going to just raise this thing up, but somewhere around 1 inch. So there's 1 inch above, and then I'm going to come over and clear all this stuff out and run this deal. So anyway, we're set up to run now, and you got to be careful when you run that go to 0 business, because it'll bring your 0 down, and your Z0, I don't like that. So I normally just say, if I know I'm at -12 right now, or I'll go ahead and get my X. See, my X is zeroed right here, and I'm at -12. So all I need to do to get back to 0, if I wanted to, is just go put that step in there, and I'm just going to say move that 12 inches. And so when I do that, and it's also a good way to verify that you still are set up. And I get everything out of the way. I don't want none of this stuff on the table when I'm milling. I don't want any weird thing that could happen where I move something into something and crash something. But anyway, you can see we're right back to our 0, and it says 0 on the screen. I know you can't see that far away, but I'm going to get ready to run, and you don't really want to sit here and watch it drill holes. But anyway, hopefully this can kind of help understand how you set your 0 and verify your 0 and your X and your Y, and And yeah, you can, like I've already said earlier, I think I did, is the way you do is you set this part here and you make sure you have your diameter, your tool set right in the probe settings there and stuff. That way, when it sets it, it knows the tool diameter. That's what's important on the XY. The Z doesn't matter what tool. And once you change tools, again, I've seen so many people that are confused about this. Don't be messing with your XY again. Once you set it, I would set it with the small tool. It's easier to see. And you do not need to set your XY again on the same job. If you're using the same in your programs, if you're using the same X and Y in the program, you know, if you're centered here or if you're centered, if your XY0 is there, wherever it is, if it's the same on all the other programs, don't be changing that again and checking it again, because you can kind of, there's room for error there. Just set your Z, like I just showed you how to do there, on a different tool. If you change tools, always set your Z. And if you want to verify that it's right, if you're using a probe, I would suggest double check like we just did, at least when you turn your machine on fresh for the day, because that didn't save from what it was yesterday for some reason. All right, I'll let you go. This is getting too long, so hope this helped you.